I want to give God thanks for divine providence and for the many accomplishments to date of our Team Unity administration. I want to welcome the cabinet colleagues who are here, and in that regard to thank them for their support, because without the unity that brought us together, the many accomplishments that we can talk about at the cups of our third anniversary would not be possible. So let me commend the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Sean Richards, who has been an outstanding deputy in loyalty, in support, and in delivery of the portfolio programs. Equally, this journey would not have been possible had it not been for the instrumental support, the wisdom and experience of a dear friend and colleague in Senior Minister, the Honourable Vance Amory, to whom I'm eternally grateful. I want to commend colleagues, the Honourable Eugene Hamilton, colleague, the Honourable Ian Patches Liebert, my colleague, the Honourable Lindsay Grant, and our Senator, the Honourable Wendy Phipps, and the Attorney General, the Honourable Vincent Byron, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Honourable Premier of Nevis of Ireland, and I equally want to record my deep appreciation to him as an important member of this Team Unity administration. I want to report that our preliminary estimates for 2018 indicate that our economy will expand again for the third consecutive year under a Team Unity administration. For 2018, the prediction is that our economy will grow by about 3.7%. This excellent record to date compares well in contrast to the first 3 years of the last term of the bygone administration, which, according to the IMF, recorded negative growth rates in 2010, their first year, 2011, the second year, 2012, the third year of that administration, in the range of negative 3.8, negative 1.9, and negative 0.9 respectively. For that, you can see the IMF press release number 14/138, dated 27 March 2014. For the year 2017, we are recording an economic growth of about 2.6%, which means our GDP has now reached 1.86 billion as at the end of December 2017. Notwithstanding the economic disruption and setback occasioned by 2 Category 5 hurricanes, the growth was impacted positively by a 9% expansion in construction services. Agriculture, we are proud to report, although still too small a percentage of the economy, it clocked in 14.3% growth, and this was due in large measure to the better weather conditions, boosting crop yields up to September when the hurricane had struck us. We experienced increased production of meats, and there were greater fishing landings. Of course, this is in part had been due to the use of additional FADs, fishing aggregate devices, in the course of 2017. Growth in the hotel sector and financial services was marginal but positive at 1% and 1.3% respectively. The wholesale and retail trade grew by 3.4% and public administration by 3.1%. Manufacturing declined by 6.5% as a consequence of adverse changes in the international market for our products, which are principally electronics, which we export to USA, to Europe, and those markets. Of note, however, that among the OECD states, St. Kitts and Nevis has the highest per capita exports. We record, as of 2016, the highest per capita exports in the region and the third highest exports per capita in CARICOM. We were outdone in this regard within CARICOM only by Bahamas and oil-rich Trinidad and Tobago. This, of course, is good news for a very small country, towering against the constraint, structural constraint, systemic constraint of small size and limited resources. A major challenge facing our economy, not only for today and tomorrow, but it has been a perennial challenge, is to reduce the level of imports. As a small state, deficit and our merchandise trade account is not unexpected, as most of what we eat, drink, wear, and utilize are imported. However, the sheer magnitude of food imports is a matter of concern. More must therefore be done to achieve higher import substitution, particularly of food products. We have accordingly increased the share of monies going to the agricultural sector. The recurrent budget for 2018 represents a 30% increase in recurrent expenditure relative to 2014. In 2014, the Ministry of Finance allocated $7.1 million to that sector. For 2018, this current year, the budget at the recurrent level stands at $9.2 million. Additionally, Mr. Hamilton would recall that we have a significant extra budget provision, if you will, coming from the Republic of China. They have provided funds close to 250,000 US, for the eco-farm development. So that too would boost. And additionally, we will set up in 2018 additional support for soft loans to be made available to our farmers, $1.5 million. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Alistair Edwards, a representative of the farmers, and other representatives of the Ministry of Finance and Development Bank are finalizing that particular proposal, the details of which should come to Cabinet shortly. We as a government are encouraged by the efforts of the Park Hyatt Hotel and other hotels to add more local fresh produce, including fish, vegetables to their menu. Each dollar not spent on imported food means one more dollar available for spending in the domestic economy, increasing our per capita GDP, which is now the largest. I repeat, our per capita GDP is now the largest in the OECS and the second highest in CARICOM. Moreover, our agriculture fund will, in fact, as I just said, bring additional resource in support of the expansion of agriculture. 2018 will witness the largest and most effective delivery of capital projects in history. Our housing programs will continue apace. Our first-time home owners program has already facilitated ownership of some 317 applicants over the period 2015 to 2017. Based on initial applications for the year just started, the demand for 2018 will significantly outpace last year's number of successful applicants, which stood at 117. I am advised that the NHC continues with the HELP program, which was designed to assist the poor and indigent with repairs and upgrade to their homes. The statistics made available to me indicate that 267 persons have benefited to date. The NHC continues its phased delivery of our housing solutions, and I am advised that on or before March 1st, 2018, a further 121 housing solutions will commence across the length and breadth of the country. Furthermore, there will be an additional boost to property ownership and home ownership in particular in St. Kitts and Nevis when we launch our 10 million civil service mortgage facility announced in the budget last December. Again, we have a committee working in fine-tune the operational arm of this particular financing. The resurfacing of the Island Main Road will start this quarter, and if there is any problem, it is due entirely to non-performance by the Minister of Public Infrastructure. I want to put him on the spot only. The build-out of our National Heroes Park will resume next week with the construction of what has been described as the Welcome Center, and the 5 statues of our national heroes will be erected long before September 16, 2018. Work will commence on the government printery. You now will witness a vacant lot. Our Coast Guard headquarters will be completed, and the customs building, I am advised, are moving apace. Private sector activity will continue, and we expect during the course of 2018 that Radisson Hotel will have its grand opening of Phase 1. Koi Resort and Ramada will all queue up during the course of this year for their grand opening. Meantime, a major hotel shall start Phase 1 of its construction in West Barstow before the end of this month. 2018 growth then will be driven in part by robust construction activities, increase in stayover arrivals, cruise tourism, our financial services, and business services. All of these developments mean plenty of jobs for our people, higher earning potential, and money multiplying throughout the economy. The St. Kitts and Nevis, which we have the honor to govern and administer, is a well sought after destination for investment, for education, for research, for work, for residence and holiday. The question to be asked is why such great confidence by discerning people in St. Kitts and Nevis? And the answer, in part, is that our country is being excellently managed. Its fiscal house is in order. Property rights are being protected and respected. Workers' rights are legislatively enshrined, and stability and democracy are alive and well in St. Kitts and Nevis. We boast of a free press, a functioning parliament, meeting regularly and delivering legislation for the good government, peace, and well-being of our country. And there is an independent court whose functionaries are determined by the Judicial and Legal Service Commission, independently of the government, contrary to what sometimes pass for commentary in the public domain. After approval by the Commission and having passed through the office of the Chief Justice, judges are then assigned to various jurisdictions in the OECS, and I can assure you, they never ask us if they can send Mary, Peter, or Tom. I am happy to announce that at this time, at least 3 luxury hotels are showing keen interest in operating in St. Kitts and Nevis. Something good is happening in St. Kitts and Nevis. In a matter of weeks, I shall be able to say definitively which are the 3 luxury hotels resorts which are seeking us out. Something tremendously good is happening. I should at least alert you of one of them, and you will be delighted, as all of us in the cabinet are, to note that one of the 3 luxury hotel brand is the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Resort. And this is a very, very significant development. Indeed, that news is now drafted and ready for immediate release. The Minister of Tourism made available to me the release, and this development dated 1st February 2017. It says the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, LLC, part of Marriott International, has signed a management agreement with the Liamiga Corporation to open Ritz-Carlton Resort in St. Kitts in 2021, bringing the award-winning luxury brand for the first time, I want to emphasize this, for the first time to this Eastern Caribbean island. The Ritz-Carlton Resort, which will include 125 suites plus 25 branded villas and residences, will be located on the picturesque southeast peninsula of the island facing the Caribbean Sea. And it goes on to give some other additions. What is important is that they tell us that the Ritz-Carlton Resort will create over 300 new jobs when construction starts, and they expect to start later on this year in 2018. So this says that they are delighted to work with the government. And from here, I say to them, it will be a delight to work with them on behalf of the people. I want to commend all those in the private sector and in the public sector, the Minister of Tourism, and all the other entities who have been working to deliver to these entities arrangements which make St. Kitts and Nevis their preferential choice. Again, this is good news for the country, and we are happy to have this good news. This good news really is a blessing from God, and therefore I want to record our deep thanks for the favor that God is showing on our country. As I stand here as the Prime Minister, I am humbled by the knowledge that I have that the future of this country has never been brighter. Our tomorrow, with God's help, will be better than our today. And so, again, we envisage going forward that only we as a people can stop ourselves. Only we with our pessimism. Only we, if we refuse to be creative, to show industry and seize the opportunities, will mark and restrict not only the growth of ourselves, but the growth of our country. What I will promise you, in the next 2 weeks, I will again come and I will announce that we have a signed deal with respect to another luxury hotel. Something good is really happening. The good Lord and his angels are smiling on us. The St. Kitts and Nevis, which my cabinet envisages, is one in which there is inclusive growth that benefits all in our society. It must benefit our bar operators, our taximen and women, our vendors at Black Rocks, and our beaches and everywhere. There must, of course, be a right way to do things, and we appeal to all citizens and residents alike to do things the right way, to respect the law, including the property rights of others, to educate and prepare themselves to do excellently what they pursue for a living. Bring the right and positive attitude always to what you do, in government, in the private sector, in your churches, everywhere. Your government will stand for justice for all, both small and large. Our Constitution and our laws demand no less. We will uphold the spirit and the content of the law as they relate to access to our beaches. And I don't know how many times I will have to say that all beaches are public beaches in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we pledge that under the team administration, there will be no diminution in terms of adherence and compliance with the law. If we have to fight, we will fight to enforce the law on behalf of our local people in St. Kitts and Nevis. We will work with developers to ensure that their deep sense of social responsibility encourages them to create appropriate facilities and amenities for local people to offer a high-quality product or service to visitors to our islands. All of us, of course, must act sensibly, justly, and mercy as we achieve prosperity and other blessings. The growth and development must never be put on pause for lack of cooperation and discipline by any of us. In that regard, last night, my cabinet invited bar operators to attend a meeting of the cabinet. They were amazed that the cabinet would, as it were, take time to deal with what they consider the ordinary troubles. But it was we who were honored by their presence, that they would come to us and to discuss the matter of their leasehold tenancy at South Friars Bay. I want to thank the operators of Shipwreck, Godfather Bar, Discovery, and Sunset Bars for gracing us with their presence and updating us with regard to their realities. The truth be told, almost all the lands at the peninsula are now privately owned. Lands there are not owned by the government. Indeed, when the former administration acquired lands there, some 852 acres, they ceded such lands to foreign private interests. So South Peninsula, private lands. The Douglas administration went to Parliament, appropriated 800 plus acres of lands over in that area, and could have created the historic opportunity for locals, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, to have a stake and a share in the lands there. Those lands acquired in the public interest ended up in the hands of foreign private interests. More than this, in their attempts at acquisition of the land, the Douglas administration disadvantaged at least one son of the soil in Dr. Wycliffe Baird in its haste to satisfy private foreign interests. Today, Dr. Baird is still fighting in the court to get his matter addressed, and we wish him well. In any dispute that arises there, the government then is unlikely to be a direct party. So there is no truth to the rumors that the government has land, that the government acquired land, and the team Unity is not making it available to the operators. That is just political mischief from those in the opposition who had an opportunity and missed the opportunity. We are prepared always to use our good offices to bring reconciliation and amicable resolution to disputes, especially where the ordinary people are up against the mighty and heavily resourced foreign interests. It was with this intention of availing the good office of the government to assist that the bar operators were invited. I will not disclose the contents of the meeting, particularly as a result of that meeting, we now intend to meet with the seller and prospective buyers in the South Friars Bay area, the property under contention. It is now public knowledge that all of the operators know that the lands that they now presently occupy were privately owned. Indeed, they know the private party because they entered into lease arrangements and consented to vacate the demised properties within 1 month's notice. That was embedded in the lease agreement. What they want now from the private owners of the lands is facilitation. And we could well understand that. I told them I understand. As a poor boy from Tabernacle whose father had a little shop next to a big shop, you know, that giving somebody 1 month's notice to disrupt their business could be a real inconvenience. And so that prospects jolted us into action. And I have reached out to the lawyers who are here representing these other parties. In this regard, I contacted the firm of Gonzalez and Parry that is representing the seller, and I reached out to other persons, and I said to them, ask the principals to come. Let us have a discussion and to see how we could advance a win-win situation for all. The government's job in all of this is to step up and stand up for fairness and justice. And we are doing this because as a government, we certainly care. We are stepping up because we are a unity government, and we will never abandon our people, nor will we ever be indifferent to the legacy of our long history. our struggles and victories, and the call of our conscience to be not just on the right side of history, but most importantly, to be on the right side of our people. Indeed, it is the wish that we'll always be on the right side. It is my wish that we will always be sensitive to the real felt needs of the ordinary man and woman, not just in Barstow, but in our rural communities. And when we made firm the commitment that should we reach the high office of government in Barstow, that we will make additional support to the indigent and poor families, for households who are earning $3,000 per month. Many laughed at us. Lord, where they going to get that money to give away? Well, we do things the better way. And so in our budget last year, we announced that we will start the implementation of the proposed $500 support to households or families earning less than $3,000 per month. I indicated both in my budget and in New Year's address that following preliminary household surveys, Team Unity will institute a new national policy which will provide a supplemental income of $500 per month to households earning less than $3,000 per month. Yesterday in Cabinet, Senator Wendy Phipps indicated that the work in terms of the survey is making progress. It will be a collaborative effort, of course, between the Ministry of Social Development and our Statistics Department in the Ministry of Sustainable Development. This will make life better. Indeed, today, somebody called and asked me when he will start. And he said to me, this is a great thing on the job, all of us talking about that. He said, I wish you could get them employers to give us a $500 top-up too. Because he understands that $500 coming to you, just so to God be the glory, is something great to have happened. That could make the difference between acquiring your medication. This could make the difference between whether or not your landlord will throw you out. Your electricity will be cut. So it is a great deed that we are doing in keeping with our philosophy. Social justice is important to the administration. I want to go to Parliament and to advise that the Parliament will meet again for a second occasion on the 13th of February 2018. For my part, and on the advice of Minister Hamilton, the leader of government business, he asked me to make a special appeal to all members of Parliament to be on their best behavior the second time around. He asked me to say, and I now say, quoting him, we want the parliamentarians to stick to the content of the bill and avoid the sideshow. And he urges greater respect and cooperation with the Honorable Speaker as the Speaker presides and exercises the decorum in the House. The Parliament is governed by rules, including the rules of debate, and the leader of government business advises me that we must all study them, and he appealed to all the MPs to abide by them. This is what he was referring to, standing orders of the National Assembly of St. Christopher Nevis. So when you hear personalities out there say, well, the Speaker has to allow people to say whatever they want, well, that must be a house of brawl. That's not a house of Parliament. No Parliament is conducted that way. And while there may be immunity for certain things said, the Speaker's job is to prevent excesses from happening. And how does he prevent the excesses? He has to do what Minister Hamilton advised me to say today to all, for education and for public knowledge, he goes to the standing orders of the National Assembly. And that says what can be said and what can be done. And many people who go in judgment need at first to inform themselves what the rules say, because there's some interesting section in it which those who are members of Parliament must pay attention to. Scope of debate and all of that. It tells you what can you say and what you cannot say. And you see, I read mines because I have some marks, not in orange, in pink. So these are certain things that you know time and time again you must never forget. Time and manner of speaking. A member desiring to speak shall rise in his or her place, and if called upon, shall address the chair. So you don't come to the Parliament late from down round barrel. You don't know where we are in the Parliament, and you just, Mr. Speaker, somebody. No, you wait. That is what the rules say. Else we will not have order in the House. Time limits of speeches set out here. The right of reply. Interruptions. No member shall interrupt another member except by rising on a point of order. And when the member speaking shall resume his or her seat, and the member interrupting shall simply direct attention to the point which he or she desires to bring to the notice and submit to the speaker or chairperson for decision. I went through all of this and the advice of the leader of government business because it's important we understand that the House has to be in order. The House has to be in order, and only one individual is charged with the responsibility. Of course, he relies on the cooperation of all members across the House to keep it in order. And he goes on, but I'm not going to tarry long on this. Content of speeches, all these are dictated. So these are the guidelines which the person administering the Parliament, that is the Speaker, have to pay attention to and guide you and take a stand in what you're doing. And what I like about the Honourable Speaker is that he always points to the rules. He said, I'm going to deal with you, Section 49. What is Section 49? The Speaker or the Chairperson having called the attention of the National Assembly to the conduct of a member who persists in irrelevance or tedious repetition, either of his or her own arguments or the arguments of others, and he shall direct him or her to discontinue, blah, 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 blah. Speaker always go to the rules because his only authority come from compliance with the rules. And where the rules are silent, they provide for him to have regard to the British, the UK tradition. And his decision, like that of the referee, is final. But he has said repeatedly that when members are aggrieved, he will take time to have a discussion with them on these matters. So I just want to place that on record. Again, we are a team, and the leader of government business felt that it was important that the public be advised. I hope I did a fairly reasonable job on that matter. We are coming close now to the end of my opening statement. So we will see what happened, leader of government business, on the next sitting. The matter of the possession and use of a Dominican diplomatic passport by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is now before the court. I only need to re-emphasize that this is a matter of grave constitutional, political and parliamentary significance to the Commonwealth family, which its rich Westminster model of democracy, and recent cases regarding dual citizenship and membership and eligibility in the parliaments in Jamaica and Australia attest to the significance of this matter. It is not a trivial matter. The Constitution specifies who can be a member of the Parliament and how membership in the House is invalidated or brought to an end. Dr. Douglas will have an opportunity to defend the case as to whether he is in breach of the Constitution. In my view, Section 28, subsection 1, subsection A, and the National Assembly Elections Act. Parliament, of course, must guard itself against impostors and fraudsters parading its duly elected members. In this regard, the question of the eligibility of a member to serve in the Parliament is significant. My government has asked the court, that is the Attorney General, to make a determination of the matter. And I can now report that I am advised that this matter is slated for hearing on the 26th of February 2018. Elected members of the Parliament must serve their constituents and the Parliament loyally and faithfully, and there must not be divided loyalties between their duty to their constituents and the Parliament on one hand, and loyalty to a foreign power on the other hand. Such conflicts, whenever it raises its ugly head, the member in question, in my view, should not wait for the court, but automatically resign. And we saw a good display of that in the Australian case, where several of them, having brought to the attention that they were in conflict, that their adherence and obedience and language of that sort in relation to a foreign power had now come to question, they decided to clear the deck. And we wish that honorable people will do that. In a brighter note, I can report that the Foreign Minister of Taiwan is due to visit our Federation, I think, on the 2nd of February, and we look forward to welcoming him. It is public knowledge that way back in 1981, we started a long-lasting friendship with the government of Taiwan, and the Deputy Prime Minister formerly of that era, Ambassador Michael Powell, would have been in the vanguard, because 1981 would have been about agricultural cooperation and an attempt then to plant rice among other things. Of course, my good friend Richard Keynes would say the rice did not go well at the time. And then in 1983, we took the relationship to a higher level when we established diplomatic relations. Since that time, we have been the best and most reliable friend of Taiwan, advocating for its membership in international organizations such as the WTO, the World Health Assembly, and the UN. Speaking to issues of diplomacy, I want to report that Ms. Sherry Truss will serve the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as our High Commissioner to Canada effective February 2018. I understand that she is awaiting presentation of her credentials. The appointment of Ms. Truss comes after the successful completion of an extended tour of duty by Ambassador Shirley Skerritt Andrews. Ms. Skerritt Andrews served formerly at the OECS mission and embassies in Brussels, where she represented those member states of the OECS who are part of that arrangement. And she served then from December 2008 to 2013 before she took over the responsibility of leading our new High Commission in Ottawa, which she started in June of 2015. She did a very good job, and we want to commend her and thank her for her service. Ms. Truss has an excellent experience. She had served in very high levels at the OAS, and we believe that she will add much value to the practice of the craft of democracy in Ottawa. Mr. Michael Blake has joined the diplomatic corps in Cuba, representing St. Kitts, or he's part of the embassy there. And that, I am advised, took place on the 5th of December 2017. We congratulate him and we wish him well. He came with the good recommendations of the Minister of Education, where he served in various capacities as teacher, as deputy principal, and I think latterly or lastly as education assistant secretary. And the Honorable Sean Richards was very happy to wish him a successful stint here. Then other news from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which they thought I should bring to this first press conference, is that the OAS has brought the tenure of Terence Craig to an end, effective the 31st of December 2017. We want to thank him for his service to our Federation, and we await the OAS naming of their next representative to our beloved country. The Venezuelan government has recalled its ambassador, Romulo Camilo Enriquez Gonzalez, to Caracas. We are advised that he will serve in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Venezuela. The recall comes after he has given service to his country in St. Kitts and Nevis since April 2013. The normal tenure of an ambassador, I'm advised, would be around 3 years. And so he's about beyond the time for a rotation. Again, we place on record our appreciation for their contribution to the harmonious relationship between our countries. The final matter I want to make mention of is that there will be some eminent personnel changes at our Defense Force headquarters and Coast Guard. And these changes have become necessary given the retirement of Lieutenant Colonel Commander Patrick Wallace, who is here with us. He will proceed on retirement at the end of February. I want personally to record my highest appreciation to Commander Wallace for what I consider to be long, meritorious, and distinguished contribution to the safety and security of our Federation. There has in the past been occasion when we grappled with leadership issues, not in my administration now, but in my former life as part of the former administration, when the Cabinet several times considered that Commander Wallace ought to have taken leadership of the police force. And each time that proposal was put to him, he respectfully declined, because I think in his blood he had become too much of a soldier. So, Commander, we thank you for your distinguished service, and we say continue to soldier on and to be of good service to our country. The Commander has recommended, and the Defense Board has accepted the recommendation that Major Anthony Comrie, who heads the Coast Guard, to be the fit person to assume leadership of the Defense Force. Comrie then would succeed Commander Wallace. I want to commend Comrie and his impending elevation. Comrie brings a wealth of experience. He was first a police officer, and I think Commander Wallace was at one point a police officer. And then he went on to the Defense Force. He attended the National Defense University, the Dwight D. Eisenhower School for National Security and Resource Strategy. And I gather he would have accomplished masters in, or the equivalent in terms of educational achievement there. But he also has been to the Canadian Coast Guard College of Nova Scotia, where he pursued navigation, and he earned a diploma there. He attended the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School for Civil Affairs, Fort Bragg. He attended the U.S. Coast Guard Training Center, where he took and specialized in issues of navigation, search and rescue, officer candidate school, and international maritime matters. Of course, he also had been to the Jamaica Junior Camp and Staff Training, the Britannia Royal Navy College in England, and the School of Maritime Operations in Hampshire, England. So he is well suited intellectually for the leadership, and I hope that his experience honed over many years and the support he will have in the retired commander would assist him in the new task. He has additional skills and training well suited for the current era: anti-terrorism, policing, and ISPS. So that is the future development there, which at this time I want to bring to the attention of the public. I want to end on that note of commendation of our people who have done well, and to add also that Mr. Carl Herbert, after a very long stint at NEMA, has also retired. And I want to place on public record our deepest appreciation for his years of service, the experience which he has. We know he will continue to make that available to the country and to the people. And we wish him well as he pursue quieter periods perhaps in retirement. With those remarks, I want to stay here to pause to invite the media for any questions that they may have at this time.
Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.